At long last, today is the day. If you're here for the template, you can go ahead and look down below. It should be linked down there in the description. You can download it. So today we're talking about Excel. We're going to start a new Excel sheet, and I'm going to show you guys how I track. I'm going to do some calculations, some profitability, and then I might go to a different industry just so you guys can see, and I'll play around on maybe switching industries. Because one industry I'm kind of contemplating getting out of. We'll see how this video goes, but I definitely stopped playing there for a while because they cut the aerospace industry out. But that's neither here nor there. Let's get into the topic of today, and that is my tracker. Okay. Here, hopefully everything's recording well now. Here is a tracker that I have started for today. You can see you can't quite see all of the things, but there are several different tabs. Again, this is going to be available for download. I'm just going to give you guys everything that I've done before. There's hidden things. I've tried. I wanted to do some AI stuff and have it, do calculations in case, if you wanted to just plug in. I have a factory and it'll do it for you, but I couldn't really get all that. I just do it myself. So I'm just going to give you guys some plain trackers here. This is this is my current aerospace industry one. This is my this is my carbon composite. You can see basically I produce almost 30,000 carbon composite on this one, and these are numbers about how much I'm producing or how much it costs, stuff like that. So hopefully today we're going to create that for you guys, or just a stock one, and then you guys can plug in your kind of numbers. So what I've started here is I basically put all my buildings here. I have 14 buildings, and each of them are appropriately leveled. Now I have spaces for their wages, which will come into play here, and I have spots for each type of research that I could make, and we'll do some calculations here. So let's start with just basically having to plug all these numbers in, and if boom changes everything, you'll have to adjust these fairly periodically. But once you have all the numbers in, you kind of get a gist of how much you can make, where you should be spending your money, and then it's just kind of minor adjustments as maybe you grow, or again, there's the boom change will basically up all of production, wages will go down, stuff like that. So our wages here at our big chemistry lab are 4026, or physics lab, sorry, our big physics lab. We only have one chemistry lab. It is 2368, and so while we're here on this chemistry lab, we can make $25.63 an hour on the chemistry, or $18.64 on the materials. So down here you see it filled in for 24 hours. I can make that much. We'll end up putting down here how much it ends up costing us to make, how much we make per hour, and then you will put in an exchange rate and see how much we can make. So I digress. We will do this. All of these level 2s are 1342. So you can see, basically, to run my company every day, I need, $539,952, roughly. That's not, executives aren't factored in yet, but we'll factor all that in here: income, expenses, salaries, trainings, stuff like that. We'll get to it all, right? So up on our big physics lab, let's just say, for the sake of everything, we have 30 levels. We're going to try and do 10 levels of each type of research on the physics labs, just for calculation's sake. The chemistry lab, we'll dive into that, because it can't produce both chemistry and materials. So in theory, there's some numbers that are not right here, but we'll figure it out. Okay, so 20.93, we'll make him make energy. So he's 6 levels of energy, and these, we'll make 2 of them, 2 more, 6.98, 6.98. Okay. 6.34. 5 of them. Electronics. 5.07. 5 of them. Okay. Cool, right? Kind of mapped out how much I am producing. Maybe. We're not really producing both the materials and the chemistry. We'll address that. Basically, we'll figure out which one we want to produce. Sorry. I'm trying to do this without editing. Maybe. We'll see. I probably will still edit it, because it's hard to talk the whole time, and it gets kind of boring when I'm just looking at numbers and telling you guys. So now we'll start down here, and we'll put our products again. And do some calculations so that we'll figure out maybe which one, if we were trying to sell it on the exchange, which one we would want to sell, right? Now we can ignore the quality over here, because what we're producing, the research, doesn't have quality. I'm going to delete what's in here. Why? Okay. So the cost per unit is the number of units produced divided by the wage, right? So for chemistry, it's this number divided by this number, okay? Sorry. Wow. Excuse me. The cost is the wage divided by the number produced. My apologies. I completely messed that up. The cost is how much you're paying everybody divided by the number of units, right? So if you're producing 10,000 units and you're paying $10,000 for everybody to produce them, it's $1 per unit. So here, we are not paying that. We are paying $2,300 for them to produce 25. So it shouldn't be 11 cents. It should be this divided by this. Okay. So $92 per unit, which right, is definitely not correct. So why is that the fact? Because what, where are my executives? Because I'm training my executive. So I did this thing, and then I chose to make a video. Probably not smart, but while he's training, I'm not getting any of his bonuses. So you can see here, my research is 8%. It should be a lot higher, but I'm not doing that. So this is kind of silly to do this now, huh? Okay. How about we switch? Right? We set it all up, and then we got to the cost stuff, and it was kind of ridiculous because I'm not producing that much right now. So let's switch and go to an oil industry, okay? Or what I would like to be in oil industry. So, not that one. Or we can just do this. Sorry. We'll just make another copy of this. Okay. And we'll name it diesel / petrol - petrol. Because I want to see basically the same thing. I want to see, is it more beneficial for me to make diesel, or is it more beneficial for me to make petrol, right? And we'll take, what I'm going to do here is I have an industry that I kind of want to switch. So I'm going to pretend like this one doesn't exist. Okay, here, maybe I'll just do this real quick. Here's I make fuselage still, and they goaded the aerospace industry, and I don't want to make fuselage anymore. So I'm trying to make some energy here so I can switch to probably diesel, but I'm kind of just making a bunch of oil, and it's working out a lot better. So back to this, we're pretending like these guys don't exist. Okay, we don't want them anymore. The physics labs, we're going to pretend also kind of like they don't exist. Just for our purposes, I'm not trying to sell the research. I'm trying to make it myself. That's kind of a different scenario of tracking how much research you need, and all that is in, I think, a different video. Anyway, here is our new just oil, just power, just refineries. And you can see here, I am going to see it because I can make more I can make more diesel than petrol and all this stuff. So let's see. Back to this. So we will go get rid of all of this again. Now our levels really do matter. So we'll put our refineries to begin with. And this is going to be the hard part. I have a lot of refinery space to produce that much diesel I would need, or diesel or petrol. I would need a lot more oil. So I would have to significantly up my oil, and I already make a lot of oil. So we'll figure all that out. Because I'm going to need more oil, I'm going to leave the bottom spaces for oil, and I'm going to put my power spots here. They're both 7. This realm also, just for a heads up, just a tougher realm. The entrepreneur's realm, right? The second realm, it's just a tough realm. All right, and then we got oil rigs. Oh. And I think I have an 11, 2 7s, and a 5. Okay. This is where it kind of gets a little more fun and intricate because, I make oil cheaper here. Fairly cheap, 22.99 a barrel. It's pretty good. I'm making my own power, so that's kind of helping keep it down. And then this one, it's 24, so that's over $1 more. But still, 24 is pretty good. An abundance of 93 is pretty good. I wouldn't go, like, I have sell at 91%. Basically, this one's a 96 now. Basically, you have to pick a spot, and depending on how big your oil rig is, it comes down to, eventually here you're going to see that it's going to come down to, I need it to produce a certain amount, and at some point it can't meet that demand. So I'm going to need a lot more oil for sure. All right, so back to just typing everything in. I'm going to have to redo all kinds of stuff, right? So our wages are 7703. I like to put I have robots on here. Because it helps, don't look at these wages because sometimes you put robots. I put robots. Okay. This is where I need to differentiate. So, I didn't put the number. I should be looking and doing two things at once. Okay. So we'll do power. I guess oil. And then, crude. It's called crude. Crude oil. And then we'll go with. I'm really not making a lot of things. It starts to get really weird because I'm vertically integrated on most of my stuff. So I make from power all the way up to X, Y, and Z. So I'm getting rid of basically 2 of my top level buildings to stop making stuff. Okay. Diesel. Nope. Ethanol. We'll have to maybe look at importing or whatever on that. This might be a place. I want to try and game the system since I have building auctions. You can purchase a level 20 building. On this realm, it's kind of hard to get a level 20 building, but I might try and do that. And you get an achievement. You get free money for just getting a level 20. If I have a level 20 farm, so be it. Whatever. Okay, enough talking. Petrol. And then basically I'll show you guys now how I'm gonna do this. So this oil rig, 4902 the wages. The crude oil it produces is gonna be 277.41. But to produce that, it is gonna take, so I'm subtracting 25 times the amount of crude oil. So I'm putting that in the power. It's subtracting. You can see here now I'm going to start zeroing out and non-zeroing out and seeing where I fit in how much oil, how much power I'm going to be needing, X, Y, and Z, how much diesel I'll produce, stuff like that. So go back to our 11 here and see that it produces 446 barrels, and then copy that, right? So yeah, but again on power I'm making 18 124.12 40 43. I think they're both. Oh no, this one doesn't have robots. Do they both have? Nobody has robots? Nobody has robots. What am I doing? Okay. So you can kind of see how this is going to go, right? So currently it's making carbon fibers. So I'm going to do 2 of the refineries, petrol, 2 of the refineries, diesel, and then we'll see kind of where we line up. So 776, 189. You can see not all my refineries are the same. They're close. So on this, it is a quarter. So minus this divided by 4 for the ethanol. Gosh, why does it do that? Okay. For crude oil, it's minus this. We'll do times 0.75. And then for power, it's the amount of petrol times minus the amount of petrol times 15. Right. So yeah, we're starting to get real hairy real quick. Okay. Oh, and the wages are 417 or 471.17. 17. I'll go down here to the 6th one because it's a little different. Maybe I'll pretend like I upgraded it. We'll pretend like I upgraded it. All right, we'll pretend like the wages wouldn't change, even though they would. But we'll pretend just for production's sake and stuff. Like, I want to get some numbers to know, because I'm making 802 more here. I'm making more diesel. So is it more profitable to sell the diesel, or is it like Petrol going to sell a little bit more, so making a little bit less is actually okay? It's kind of, it's real things that real business people think of. So 802, 802.79, and then basically it's the same, right? So this divided by 4, this times 0.75, and this times 15. So in my, well, I still have, excuse me, more oil rigs. This one is 94. Yeah, you can see this energy is going to, or the power is going to be a problem. That's why most people import their power rather than making them themselves, which is fine. Really, I probably should just get rid of like a refinery. Like, I'm probably just making too much. This seems unreasonable, but we could try and build up to that. Get more oil rigs, get more power plants, and we could see, what I'm gonna need. Basically, it looks like I need another 2 power plants at that level, which is problematic with. So you try and get like, this is where you're like, okay, do I export, or maybe do I try and get a level 14 power plant? Consolidate, right? Some of these refineries I could use higher level refineries than having a bunch of level 7s and stuff like that. Okay, almost done here with how much oil I produce. Yeah, so I need even more power. And then I'm importing this much ethanol. Do I want to try and get that? But I'm in the whole 11 or 12, almost 1,200 oil. I'm making it. You guys can't see it down here. I'm making pretty much this amount. I basically need to double this amount in order for me to switch with just what I'm making right now. So because right now this is you can see I kind of recreated it. You can't even, my power's down here, or my power's split. There's one up here and one down here. But I'm producing composite in order to produce fuselage. Here's my levels. My margin here this is kind of like the nitty gritty, but like how much profit can I make with what I'm producing? Is I can make 20,000 an hour, like cool, at a 32% margin. Very solid numbers, very solid. But the oil here, you can kind of see the margin is close. It's like, okay, the margin's close. Well, oil, much easier to get rid of. Like, if you just switch to if I just switched and just sold oil, so I got rid of all and just pumped up my oil, I'm selling him, at a better margin or a similar margin. It looks, again, I look at that and I think, oh, I could up all of that and not have this one fuselage building I just don't like. So, yeah, and then diesel/petrol also incredibly easy to get rid of. Fuselage and stuff like that, not easy to get rid of. Carbons, fibers, carbon composite. If you start getting deeper and deeper into the chain, harder and harder to get rid of. This is not the realm to do that stuff on. So, back to this, kind of thing. Here's where I would go and try building auctions, get more, power or whatever. Or if you don't want to do that, and here's your numbers for how much you need to buy off the exchange. You know what I mean? Okay, I need to buy this much a day. That's why I put down here the 24 hours. I need to buy, almost 19,000 ethanol a day if I want to do this. Because your refineries are now your top priority to keep those running at all times. So that you're just going to basically buy all of this stuff that you're not making. Okay, so power, crude, ethanol I don't make, so I probably also misspelled that. Nope. Okay. Diesel, petrol. We'll say, I think I make 2 on those. Yeah. We'll say that I only make Q1 on the diesel, which means that I only need to import Q0 ethanol. That's a key factor here for producing stuff, right? Because this one's not going to be a production, so I'm going to make this. Nope. If you see this, I like to input. I'm an accountant, I guess, or whatever. Was an accountant. I like to have input cells, so that's what that is. If you see that, basically it's a prompt for you to input how much it's going to cost you. So ethanol is going to cost me tick tock, tick tock. Apologies. Ethanol is going to cost me, yikes, 33 a barrel. We'll say. That seems high. Anyway. Okay, so what are we doing here? We're going to start calculating. Power. We did this kind of before, right? Power is going to be your wages. And I'm doing this in case things change. So if you end up upgrading some power things, these numbers will shift accordingly, or as you're going to end up putting in numbers when it's not a boom and so forth, these numbers are always going to change. So you just want to kind of copy the cells in each cell that produces that product, right? And then it's divided by this plus this. So I am producing power at a roughly 0.223 rate, which is, it's kind of what it's saying. So I could go in here to, maybe it'll tell me more. 225, 225. Okay, cool. The number of hours, so we're going to put this plus this. Oops. And then it automatically fills here. And then the exchange, you can put here the exchange price. Right, the exchange price is 0.294. And then it's going to tell you, just because of the things I already have in here, it's going to tell you that basically I can make $2,000 an hour, and then my margin is 21%. That's just power. I do have quality too. So there you go. And we're just going to keep going. Crude. Where are all my crudes at? How much crude am I making, right? So my crude is, again, wages first. Wages divided by the number you produce. And again, this number is going to change because the abundance changes every day. So, every day it's going to cost you a little bit more to make oil. Basically. So it's not just that, right? Here's where it starts to get a little tricky. It's not just that for oil, because you have another input. It's not just wages. It was really easy when it was research. It was just wages. And power, it's just wages. Now we start to introduce, it's wages on how much, but it's also the number times the input. So power, you need to know how much power you're producing. But you don't need to know how much power you're producing. You need to know how much power you need to also input as well as the wages. So it is, again, going to be this number, because we're producing it ourselves, in theory, right? In theory, we're producing it ourselves at max capacity. So I'm always going to have enough power to produce my crude oil at this point. It starts to get tricky when you have to import. I try to make it so I don't have to import. So, sorry, long drawn out. It's that number times however many per crude oil. So it is, man, struggling here. I've been doing good. 25. So it's this number times 25. Okay, there we go. Apologies. This number looks pretty accurate. So overall, in general, between all of my oil rigs, right, this one, it cost me $22.99 to produce a barrel of oil. Overall, across my map, it is going to cost me $23.26 to produce a barrel of oil. Okay. Now, we go here. How many are we producing right per hour? So it's this, all of these. Cost per hour, the exchange rate here. I like to sell oil on the exchange here. So 34. You'll see that. That's a pretty healthy, excuse me. And I've factored in some things here too. Transport, I put, you know, how much it costs to sell it on the auction house if you're doing it through the or exchange. Excuse me. So if it costs one transport unit, this factors in. I should change this because the transport is much higher. You know, and the exchange rate is higher. That's not good. So I should be changing some of these. Boring stuff. Hopefully I cut this out in the video. Okay, so again, basically I could sell all of my oil and make $10,000 profit. This is profit too, a day. So if you added your profit and your cost, that's how much, you know, you're selling an hour or whatever. You would be selling $37,000 or $38,000 worth of oil, and 10,000 of that would be profit. So just so you guys know what all of these kinds of things mean. Yeah, I'm gonna pause here and finish out the video in a bit. Okay, picking up right where I left off. Hopefully we're still good here. I like the first half, probably gonna keep it as is. Might be a long video. Oh well. If you guys like it, cool. If you need to rewind to catch some of these calculations, cool. Bookmark this video, etc. Comment down below what industry you're in for me, please. Okay. By the end of this, I'm gonna have a completely blank one of these, again available for download. You probably already got it. Okay. Now I'm thrown off because I had time and I wrote stuff down instead of doing this off the cuff. Let's just get back into ethanol. We're not producing it, so we'll take some of these out. Maybe we're going to produce it. I got that down. We'll figure that out. Okay. So Petrol. Ethanol. It's a 20 power 10 sugar. Okay. Sugar cane. What am I looking for? One transport unit. Okay. Pretty sure petrol is one as well. Why does it do this to me? Yes, everything's one. Everything's one transport unit. I made all those other calculations. We're keeping them because, yep, that's what we're doing. Okay. So, diesel. If I'm producing the petrol or the diesel, what does that entail? It entails the wage. Well, we're doing multiple diesels here, even though they're the same. We're doing multiple diesels. Then we're going to do multiple petrols, and we're going to find out which one's the best one. I need to talk, keep talking, keep talking, keep talking. All right, plus divided by these, because again, if they might shift. My refinery right now is not actually a 7. If I go in and put in the corrected things, it could shift. So we need to just have the cells in there instead of just doing calculations off the numbers. Yeah, okay. And then what over here does diesel need? It needs 15 power. 15 times. You're just clicking because you're producing it all yourself. Ethanol, we're going to click here because maybe we're going to end up producing it ourselves. We'll get into that. plus crude oil times 0.75 plus ethanol times 0.25 or divided by 4. Either or. So it's all of those things. That is how much I could make diesel for right now. You know, assuming, because I'm making my own power, my own crude, I would import the ethanol. That's how much I would make it for. How much am I producing? Is this and this. Cost per hour. The exchange price is, I'll do 49 down here for petrol, because it's basically the same thing here. Right. I want to just copy that down, but it's going to do weird things because it's not supposed to do the C5 and C6. No. It's... Oh, dang. Why did I do this to myself? C1 and C2. G1 and G2. Nope. Not G. H. H. Naturally. Oh, not H. G. 3. Okay. We're still, because I did all of the silly things. Okay. So see, it cost me a little bit more to make petrol. That makes sense, because I make less per hour. Okay. Yeah. So our overall cost per hour is less. So hold on as I continue to format all this stuff. Bear with me. Because I have the... Oh, it's the same. That kind of makes sense. So, and it kind of makes sense. Costs more an hour to make diesel. You end up profiting a little bit more off diesel. Currently, you know. But diesel, you know, this petrol, it looks like maybe you're not always going 49. So what if you were at 49.5? You know, now you're really close. So what if you are selling it at 50? You know, really what I want to look for is Q3, because I make Q2 this, Q2 that. If I have to import Q2 ethanol, okay, that'll be whatever. It's kind of negligible. It's not the thing to think of necessarily. So here we go. Q3, because that's what I would try to go for, is 51.5 for petrol. Q3 diesel still 49.25, because well, I feel like a lot more people make diesel. So petrol wins out kind of in this Q3 scenario. And then it's all going to depend on the market as is, you know, etc. Does petrol sell on, you know, I'm not selling it myself, So, kind of look at these guys. Do they sell a lot all the time for people buying it? I don't know. So, it does look like Q3 Petrol is what I would go after. And I would probably, we'll move right in here, discuss an ethanol plant, at 18,000 barrels. So let's say we moved, this is what I like to. Okay, so I did all these calculations, and I found out, actually, I want to make everything petrol. So here we go, making everything petrol. And then actually, I found out this is actually only a level 6, so he only makes 665.91, and everything just changed, and it's okay. 4043, and stuff just changed. Cool. Now I kind of know where I'm sitting at currently. What would I need? So I would need about 18,000 ethanol a day, and not a lot. That 25,000 barrels is tough. Whew. Crude oil. The power is 1,000,000 power. I don't like that either, but it is what it is. So let's talk about an ethanol, like a what would we call it? I have to put one of those things down. Okay. A beverage plant. Let's go back to that encyclopedia. To ethanol and a beverage factory. How much an hour? 749. You guys can't see? Okay, now you can see. Sorry. $749. Yeah, so I basically would need a level 12 beverage factory, so it would be pretty beneficial. Once you're over like a level 5 building of your own, it's probably beneficial for you to make it yourself. And then that would cut deeply into my costs, and my margin would go back up to probably that 30s. There's 30%. Assuming I could get all the power that I needed and everything too. I did want to discuss, there are 22 building levels not accounted for in this in these wages. These wages will go up as your building levels go up, even all around the other buildings, even if you don't upgrade that building because of administrative costs XYZ, right? So there's 22 levels not accounted for, but I would probably get 22 levels, so somewhere else. So 12 of those would go towards ethanol if I were to get a beverage factory. That's 30 levels. I would need 30 more levels ish, 28 more levels of oil rig. So that's a lot. I probably would end up just like doing this, right? I would get rid of a refinery as well as my other stuff. And then I would figure out, oh, that makes things go weird. Oh wait, I got rid of the diesel. That's fun. Sorry. The first take was good. No, the second take's not going to be that great. I would get rid of a refinery because I'm making too much. It's unsustainable. So then, if I did that again, I want to ignore the numbers down here for a second. That's what got me off. And then figure out, okay, now I need to make 582 on the ethanol. I know, it's taking me here. What does 582 look like? 560, so we got 570, so a level 9, that's kind of in line. So a level 9 beverage factory sounds much better to me. Get rid of the refinery, one refinery, keep 7, keep the 3 sevens. It's that's a good level. We'll talk about robots here. Level 7's a good level for robots. Refineries are good, so that's probably what I would do. Get rid of the refinery as well. Probably have to pick up more power. So, and I'm picking up less oil, 560. So you gotta imagine this is a level 11 that was 100% at one point. So it's 99-ish, a little less I think. But a level 11 99 abundance isn't making 560 an hour. So I would need 12, 13, 14 more oil levels, and that's tough. So 2 more 7s, I guess. And then your power's back and crazy stuff too. So lots and lots of more calculations that I would have to keep doing, that I don't necessarily want to bog down and bore this video. So let's go to, I'm going to big screen this and talk about revenue. On most of these I have, we're going to do petrol and then times your exchange rate. That, for the most part, right, is going to be your revenue. And then your expenses are going to be all kinds of things. Like the wages are the biggest, but then, maybe you're importing power and you have to, that's why I put the exchange rate here, so you can just kind of link these things to kind of get all your expenses down and give you the best calculation. So I don't know if I really want to do that, but we'll just do that. I think I have to do negatives here because shoot. Yikes. Not what I wanted. Okay, so this times this, because that made it less, right? So this needs to be negative. Anyway, I put in spots here for all of these things for you to plug in salaries and interest and however many trainings you think you're going to do. They all, end up coming in here. I put this price point here for if you contract. So at that point, you wouldn't use the exchange rate, and you would put your contract price here, and you would multiply, whatever your daily thing is times your price point. So I'll end up making a blank one of these at the end here. So go over the research tab. So research has changed. Did want to just kind of go over this a little bit real quick too. Okay. I should put all of these as, kind of the input cell. Because if you needed 480 of these, it's going to tell you kind of how much research you kind of should go for. It's an estimated research. Okay, Sorry, I'm explaining that poorly. I apologize. So, however many patents you need, these are the basic amounts per level. They changed the patent probability, so I did this. Basically, without any executive influence, to hit Q3, you kind of need to buy 8,000 pieces of research, whichever, research that is. Here I got some calculations down here for amounts that it would probably cost me. So again, if I wanted Q3 diesel here, it's going to cost me about 1.5 million. If I were to buy it off the auction, so that's why or exchange. That's why I was kind of trying to make it myself. That's my goal. Q3, probably diesel. I know petrol kind of came out there, but probably gonna go diesel. Anyway, executive bonus. This is your guy, like whoever your executive bonus is, and then it'll give you a little bit of a discount here and tell you how much you should buy, maybe from the auction house. And these numbers change as I think all of these numbers change, right? So yeah, that is cool. I put the amounts that you get also for the achievements, because that's kind of what you should be going for in this game, is the achievements. So I know there's not really a lot to go for. The government orders are kind of my next thing I think I'm going to try and go for. But yeah, I need to do some more research on that. So this is the research tab. I'm going to move on to, let me go back to this and go through what just kind of how everything plays out for me in general. Real quick kind of layout, right? I don't have my physics. These two spots are physics things, but I don't have them. Just calculated because I don't care. So I'm producing fuselage. This is kind of calculating how much it costs me to produce my fuselage. 226, 2258. It's always like a little bit less than what the game has because I don't know. I'm always making it. I don't know. It's always just a little bit less, but I just don't like selling it. I have to sell it at a huge discount, kind of, to get rid of it because it's kind of a crowded area. Yeah, so like right now 1.8 is what I can make, and it's just not the best. Yeah, because we went back here and like I cut out a refinery, and my max revenue here is 2.8, and that's getting rid of some of my more important buildings, you would think. So I just need to switch. And even if that revenue, even if I'm not making the oil and I have to buy off the exchange, this is the top line, right? I like focusing on the profits and whatever, but even if my margin goes to like 9, if you're making 2.8 million, the margins are going to get smaller, and that's okay. 8 is drastic, but you get the point. Okay. Let us go back to the physics labs. We're going to basically put a new one of these in front. We're going to name this blank tracker. Okay. And we're just going to get rid of it all. Alright. Yeah. We'll do product or whatever. So awesome. Just watching somebody type all the time. Okay. This is the blank one. It's gonna be at the front. If you've already downloaded it, hopefully this works. Unfortunately, cost and the stuff per unit isn't not necessarily going to translate. You guys are going to have to do, yeah. Gonna have to put all the stuff in. Let me know how it goes. Yeah. Maybe I'll go through this electronics industry with you guys on my next video. Until then, thanks for watching. Have a good one. Subscribe, like, comment, all the good things. Appreciate it. Bye.